Okay, guys, this week what I'd like to go over is the second part of our latest assignment, which is the logo and corporate identity assignment. Okay, part two is going to be to apply the logo to a business card. Okay, now as you can see on the specifications here on the spec sheet, a business card is 2 inches by 3.5. Now that can be horizontal or vertical. It can also be one or two sided. Okay. Now, as far as the information that goes on the business card, um, well, you're going to have the logo, name of the company if it's not part of the logo, a person's name, his or her title, an email address, phone number, and a mailing address and website are optional. Okay, so let's go ahead and set that up. Let's grab this and minimize it. Okay, now you can see in Illustrator here, I've already got my logo opened up, and I'm going to create the business card. Okay, so let's go ahead and type in our 3.5 inches by 2. Okay, and actually that should be pretty good. I can always, if I need to do some more stuff on there. I think, yeah, we're at 300 DPI, CMYK. That should be all set. Okay, so we'll create that. There's our basic business card right there. Okay, very simple, straightforward kind of thing. I'm going to zoom out a little bit and pop in my rulers, which I always like to have. Okay, so we're at 3.5, just double checking that, by 2. Good. Okay, now here's the deal though. I'm not really sure that I want to have your typical business card, okay, which is essentially just like the old calling cards of yore, which are horizontal like this one. I think I'll go with one that's vertical. So actually, I'm going to click on Document Setup here, and I'm going to click then on Edit Artboards. Okay. Now, when I click on Edit Artboards, some new stuff comes up here along the top, which makes it really easy to modify your artboard. So the first thing I'm going to do, it's landscape right now, horizontal, landscape, same thing. And I'm going to click on Portrait, which makes it taller. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. Okay. Now, I'm also going to make this a double-sided business card. So I need to have an additional artboard for the back side. Well, that's really easy in Illustrator. All you have to do is click right here on New Artboard, and it creates a new artboard exactly the same size as the previous one. Okay. So we're all set there as far as our artboards. Front side, back side. Okay? Okay, now because of the style of the logo, I think I'm going to do something a little bit different here. It's very bold black and white. If you want to see it again, it's like right here. Okay, that thing. So I think I'm going to do something kind of different. I think I'm going to have the two sides of the card sort of mirror each other, but be opposite. Okay? I think that would look kind of cool. So, first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to click back here, and I'm going to bring down some guidelines just so I can see what I'm doing, see where things ought to be. Okay, I always like to have guidelines. Let's see, right about there. Yeah, okay, let's bring one in right about, well, let's see, this would be 3.5 inches, so that, I want to have it a little bit off center. Okay, I'm thinking right about there. Maybe, nah, that's too far. Right about there. Okay. I know you can't read my mind. You don't know what I'm thinking, but I've got kind of an idea going here. Okay, so I got my guidelines set in there. I'm going to bring in a couple the sides too. I just like having guidelines all set up and ready to go. Personal habit, just like to have guidelines. Okay. All right, now I'm going to start adding some stuff to my artboards. Okay. Let's see. I've got my layers here. I'm just going to call this the base layer. That's going to be, clicking on anything, it's going to be anything that is on that layer is going to be in blue. And I'm going to create a new layer, and I'm going to call this boxes, because I'm going to put in some black boxes, okay, that'll contrast with each other. So I'm going to go ahead, now I'm going to grab my rectangle tool, but since I want it to be a black box, I'm going to switch these out and then make sure there's no stroke. So we've got a black fill, no stroke. And then I'll just make a black box there. Just a little bit more. There we go. And then another black box here. Okay, so I've got black boxes on sort of opposite of each other. Okay? All right. So I got my boxes set up. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and grab my logo, which is, like I said, all grouped together. And I'm going to go ahead and copy that. And then go back here. And I'm going to go ahead and, before I do anything else, before I paste it in there, and grab both of these things, and I am going to lock those in place. Object, lock, selection. Again, that's just so I don't get stuff messed up. And then I'm going to add a new layer, and I'm going to call this one logo. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and paste it. Now, as you can see, the logo is huge by comparison to the card, right? Because remember, we were working at a 4x4 inch scale starting out, and the card is only 3.5 inches tall. But because we've already taken all the text and created outlines out of them, it will reduce just fine without any distortions or anything weird going on. So I'm going to go ahead and make that smaller, move it up here a little bit. And let's see, there, we're centered that way, and centered that way. Okay, good. Okay, now, now what I need to do is make a reverse version of this. Okay, so let's do this. While it's still selected and we're on the logo layer, we're going to go ahead and copy this, and we're going to paste it. And then okay, now the trick here is going to be making a reverse version of this, the logo. Okay, so I've got this thing right here. Right now, it's still just like the one that we have right here. It's grouped. Okay, so what I need to do is ungroup it. Okay, because I need to start changing the fill of these things, the fill and the stroke and all that stuff. So while that's selected, I'll go up to Object and Ungroup. Okay, now I should be able to grab, well, let's see, I'm going to have to ungroup it again because I've got multiple groupings going on, so I'll ungroup again. Now let's see where we're at. Okay, now I can grab the outer square, and basically that thing I can just I can delete. Okay, and then the circle right now, which is a white circle with no stroke. What I'm going to do with that, I'm going to do a little quick change there. I'm going to make it into a black circle with basically no stroke. Okay, now I'm going to grab my S, and it is a, as you can see here, just like this one here, black fill, no stroke. I'll just do this the quick way. Just do a white fill, which is the default, and then do a quick no stroke right there. I'll grab the O and do the same thing. Give it a white fill, and then no stroke. Okay, now what I have to deal with are these little bits here. And these are all separate. So I'm going to hold down my Shift key while I grab each one of those. I'm going to do the same thing again. And then up at the top, like that. Switch it out again. And there's the graphic part of the logo. And now I need to just do the same thing with Space Opera books down here at the bottom. So let's go ahead and do this and this. So now it's black with no stroke, and it's the exact opposite thing of what we have on the front side of the card. Now, before I go any further, I'm going to grab all this stuff right here, and I am going to group that. Okay, so now if I grab part of it, I've grabbed all of it. Okay? All right, now we need to start adding some contact info. Okay, so let's go ahead and start doing that. I'm going to use the same font that I used here for Space Opera books, I think. I think that looks pretty cool. I kind of like it. And I think it should look all right, even if it's a little bit smaller. Over here, it's probably going to be a little bit smaller than, like, say, the name and the position here. Okay, so let's go ahead and click on the Type tool. Take it a second. And, of course, the default is Myriad Pro. Let's switch to that again already. I'll just give it a click. And we'll change that to the font that we need, which, there we go. Let's see, that was a recent font, so there it is right there. Manly Men is the name of the font. And while that's selected, I'm just going to type my name. Whoops, there we go. And let's see, let's go ahead and, we'll just, underneath that, type in editor in chief. That's nonsense title, of course, but that's okay. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and grab this. I'm going to center this text, or make it a line center. And I think editor-in-chief is a good size, but I want my name to be larger. So let's try it at about, that's too big. Right about there. That's not too bad. And not sure about the spacing on that, line spacing. But all right. Let's move that up just a little bit. I'm going to do instead of adjusting the leading to do this, I'm just going to do a baseline shift on the bottom line here. Whoops. Clicked on the opacity instead of character. There we are. And just kind of move that up just a nudge. Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay. Now, I'll just grab this thing and let's see. There, that's right about there. There. Okay. So now we have it centered right there. And Okay, now the rest of the text, and let's double check that. Let's go to Safari. Let's see, person's name and a title, an email address, and a phone number. Okay, email address and a phone number. Okay, so in this case, what I think I'm going to do, let's go ahead and click on our text tool again, and I think what's probably going to happen is going to come up with a yeah, it's going to come up with the same font. I'll go ahead and click that. It says Lorem Ipsum again. I'm going to set this down to about 11. Okay, while it's still selected. You can't hardly see it, but I'm changing that. And I'm going to change this back to auto. Yeah, and this back to 0. Okay, sort of recalibrating the settings, if you want to call it that, so it's not the same settings as on this bit right here. And while that's still selected, I'm also going to switch this out so I've got white fill and no stroke. Okay, so then on this side, I'll have the text that's going to be white on black instead of the black on white. So let's go ahead and type in. I'll just type in my actual mid address, Ulrich at midmish.edu. Okay, that's no secret, that's my email address. Okay, if you guys don't know it already, well, that's what it is. You should know it. And let's see, next, well, we need a like a phone number. So I'm just going to make something up. 989. Again, just made that up. That's not a real number. Please don't call it. Okay. And then in this case, I think what I'm going to do is I'll add a I think I'll add a web address, www. We'll just call this SOB. Okay, well, maybe not that. I was, let's try space, opera, whoops, opera books.com. Okay, that's a little bit long. I'm going to have to make that just a little bit smaller. So let's go ahead and make this one just a touch smaller so it fits. Okay, that's working pretty well. Just moving this until we get it in the right spot. Okay. Now, that doesn't look too bad, but without the box around it, without the box around it, I think it looks a little bit too close together. So, since these are different things, not like a name and a title, but a email address, a phone number, and a web address, I think I'm going to increase the leading on this. I'm going to go ahead and grab that and go up to character, and let's see, let's adjust the leading. So you can see as I'm scrolling over, it kind of previews it. Okay, I think 18 looks better. Okay, I like that a little bit better. And now we can just kind of center this. Get it just so. Right about there. Okay. All right. I think that pretty much works. Okay, so this would be a double-sided business card, sort of, you know, one side mirroring the other. with different contact info on the different sides. I've done a lot of business cards over the years, and I personally I like the trend toward double-sided business cards because with double-sided business cards, you hand somebody a card and boom, you got this thing right here. You know, it tells them right off who you are and all that stuff. Then they can flip it over and they got the rest of the contact info. It just I just think it reads better. Um, Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and do a save as, which is always a good idea, so you can save your progress. And here we go. We'll call this space, whoops, space, opera, books, and we'll call this card 1. Hit save, and okay. All right, so there you go. I've seen some really cool logos that are being created so far. I look forward to seeing what you guys do with them as far as business cards and mock-ups. All right, I'll talk to you next time.